So, have you ever really stopped to think about how your memory actually works? I mean, most of us kind of picture it like this perfect HD video camera in our heads, right? Just recording everything. But what if I told you that whole idea is a total myth? And honestly, the real story is way, way more fascinating.
Yeah, this quote absolutely nails it. See, your brain doesn't have a playback button, it's more like it has a rebuild button. So every single time you remember something, you're not just, watching an old movie. Nope, you're actually rebuilding that memory from scratch. And get this, every time you do that, the memory can change, even just a little bit.
Okay, so if it's not a recording, then what is it? Well, it turns out memory is this incredibly dynamic and, honestly, a super creative process. It's less like a dusty old library vault where you pull out a perfect record, and a lot more like an artist studio, where a painting gets a new brushstroke here, a little touch-up there, every single time you look at it.
All right, to really get this, let's break it down into the 3 basic steps. First up, you've got encoding. That's just your brain noticing something and deciding, hey, this is worth remembering. Then there's storage, tucking that info away for later. But the real magic, the part where everything gets kind of weird and wonderful, is that 3rd step, recall.
And that's where this whole idea of reconstructive memory comes into play. The key thing to remember here is that remembering is not a passive thing, it's super active. Your brain literally grabs all these different bits and pieces from the past and weaves them into a coherent story. And like we said, every time you tell that story again, you're potentially changing it. And this chart here just lays it all out so clearly. On one side, you have the myth. Memory is a static, perfect video recording. You just hit play. But the reality? It's totally different. It's flexible, it's dynamic, it's shaped by how you're feeling right now. And recalling something is literally an act of creation. So right about now, you're probably thinking, wow, so my memory is just broken, buggy? But hold on, because these so-called glitches in the system, they're actually some of its most powerful features. Seriously, they're not bugs at all. They're features that evolved for a really good reason.
I want you to think about your most powerful, most vivid memories for a second. Go on. I'll bet almost all of them are packed with emotion, right? That's because emotion is basically a highlighter pen for your brain. It screams, pay attention, this is important. It's a survival thing, really, like remembering that scary dog so you avoid that street next time. That emotional tag just locks the memory in place.
And this leads to something psychologists call flashbulb memories. You know exactly what these are. They're those where were you when moments. You remember the sights, the sounds, who you were with. It all feels like a perfect, crisp photograph. But here's the crazy part. Even though they feel 100% accurate, study after study shows that even these super vivid memories can get distorted over time.
And you know what's deeply, deeply tied into all this? Our senses, especially one in particular. Have you ever smelled something, maybe fresh-baked cookies or an old perfume, and bam, you're instantly transported back to a specific moment? That's no accident. Smell is this incredible time machine because scent-triggered memories are way more emotionally powerful than anything you see or hear. Now, this whole process of rebuilding and, filling in the gaps, it can sometimes go a little sideways, and that's where we get something called false memories. And let's be super clear, this has nothing to do with lying. It's just a natural thing your brain does. It wants to create a neat, tidy story so it fills in the blanks of details that feel right. And sometimes it can create a detailed memory of something that just flat out didn't happen. Okay, so that brings us right up to today. Because this ancient biological system of ours is getting a massive, massive software update, whether we like it or not. I'm talking about our tech. How is our relationship with our own memory changing now that we're basically outsourcing it to our phones and computers?
Well, say hello to the Google effect. You've definitely experienced this. It's the simple idea that our brains are getting kind of lazy. If we know information is just a quick search away, we don't bother to actually remember it. What we remember instead is how to find it. Our brain is basically treating the internet like an external hard drive.
So what's the big deal? What's the trade-off here? Well, think of it like this. Remembering things on your own, mental recall, is like going to the gym for your brain. It strengthens those memory muscles. But digital recall? That's like taking the elevator instead of the stairs. It's way faster, super reliable for sure, but it requires almost no effort. And the big question is all this convenience actually making our own internal memory a little bit weaker?
But look, it's not all doom and gloom.
In fact, this is where it gets really empowering. Because if our memory is just a story that we're constantly rebuilding, well, that means we get to be the editors. We have some control over that story. We can actively choose which memories to focus on, which ones to strengthen. You are literally the editor of your own life story.
So how do we do that? How do we become better editors of our own memories? Well, it's actually pretty simple. First, just pay attention. When something amazing is happening, be there. Put the phone down, just soak it all in. Second, share it. Tell someone about that great moment. Talking about it literally helps burn it into your neural pathways. And finally, write it down. Journaling, or even just jotting down a few notes, forces your brain to process that memory in a totally different, much deeper way.
Because at the end of the day, our memories aren't just some boring record of what happened. They're the living, breathing stories that make us who we are and who we're going to become. The goal isn't to have a perfect memory, it's to build a meaningful one. So I'll leave you with this. Your memory is your story. What are you going to choose to highlight?